I care about climate change because animals all over the world are dying.
I care about COVID-19 because it's affected my normal life dramatically and put those that I love at risk.
Y podríamos causarle daño a las personas más vulnerables que se encuentran a nuestro alrededor. Por eso, todos debemos cuidarnos.
Des milliers de générations sont concernées, ainsi que des îles vont disparaître. Nous sommes tous concernés par cela. Sauvons la planète.
We care about climate change. We want to step back from earthquake.
Y a mí me preocupa el COVID-19 porque cambió toda la realidad de la que vivimos.
I care about climate change because I hate to see the places I love being destroyed.
I care about climate change because it can affect future generations and lead to mass extinction.
I care about COVID-19 because I have an at-risk family member.
I care about climate change because then everyone has clean water so that everyone can be healthy and live longer.
I care about COVID because of the way it affected my and every senior's senior year.
El cambio climático del COVID-19 son problemas que no solamente nos sirven a uno, sino a todos por igual. Son problemas de hoy y de mañana, de nuestro futuro, que es sumamente importante.
I care about climate change because it is my generation's future at risk.
COVID-19 has changed my life in many ways, including my education, my sport and seeing my loved ones.
El medio ambiente, ya que creo que esto es más fundamental tanto para nuestro futuro como para el planeta en sí.
I care about climate change because we only have one planet and we need to protect it for our future generations.
Donc je me soucie du changement climatique car c'est un danger pour nous et pour les jours à venir.
Siento que la parte social ha sido más difícil por lo que no voy al colegio, ya no interactúo con mis amigos y por los protocolos de bioseguridad es muy difícil socializar con la gente.
I care about climate change because I want future generations to be able to experience the Arctic and all the animals that come with it.
Me interesa el cambio climático porque debido a este ponemos en peligro la flora y fauna del planeta.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody joining us from around the world. Welcome to our 2021 Call for Code P-Tech Challenge Kickoff event. Let me start off by thanking all of the students, mentors, and teachers who have answered the call and have decided that they want to make a positive change in this world that we live in. It is especially significant, and I would be remiss if I didn't point out how great of a response we've had to our challenge. I'm excited to kick off this worldwide competition with students based out of schools in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Ireland, France, England, the US, Peru, Chile, Argentina, Mexico, Brazil, and Colombia. This is spectacular because it sheds light on the fact that even though we are based all around the globe, we still have the same societal issues on our minds, and we all want to play our part in trying to make our world a better place for us and for future generations. On today's call, we will be going over what the Call for Code P-Tech Challenge is, what 2 topics we will be focusing on this year, and what you can expect to happen as we move through the challenge over the next 6 months. We will also be talking to some subject matter experts to get a better understanding of our 2 global issues, how they manifest themselves, and how we can help prevent, mitigate, or alleviate them. Additionally, we're going to be hearing from Project Owl, the 2018 winners of the Call for Code competition, as they share some tips, tricks, and best practices with us. Finally, we'll close out with some next steps, some toolkits, and we'll learn what prizes await our winners. So let's dive right in. As previously stated, this competition is the first of its kind, but it connects to a larger global movement. Originally created by the David Clark Cause with IBM as a founding partner, the initiative invites developers and problem solvers that are above 18 years of age to solve some of the most pressing issues of our time. We wanted to provide students under the age of 18, like yourselves, with an opportunity to innovate your ideas. We wanted to support you in developing a solution from the perspective of the world's next generation. Therefore, this challenge allows for mentors, teachers, and most importantly, students to work together and make their contributions to combating and solving societal issues by using IBM technologies and offerings. This is our very first year carrying out this challenge with many schools from our global P-Tech network, and we're looking forward to the amazing solutions that you will certainly devise. This year, we want to focus our challenge on two issues that affect us all in our daily lives: climate change and COVID-19. The former has been a pressing issue for decades now and has really worsened in recent times, while the latter is a fairly new issue that has changed the way we all live and will undoubtedly continue to impact our daily lives from here on out. The competition will be a global one, and it will look something like this. Each team will be comprised of students under the age of 18 who will work together with teachers and IBMers in their communities and networks. Everyone will begin the week of January the 4th, 2021, and run through June of 2021. There will be 3 major checkpoints along the way, with 2 of them being design thinking workshops and the third being a virtual hackathon. Once we all finish our solutions, we will submit them and a panel of judges will pick our winners. And yes, there will be prizes awarded, but there's more on that later. Right now, you're probably asking, so what can I do? It's not like I'm going to devise a vaccine or stop pollution at the snap of my finger. Believe me, that's not the approach any of us are taking. We're asking you all to think big and start small. In other words, make your goal a large-scale, impactful one, but devise a solution that can address a small facet of either issue. The end goal here is to have replication across the globe so that your small solution can have a big impact. For example, a few of the areas that your solution can address on the COVID front are crisis communication, remote education, and community cooperation. Perhaps you can focus on how you can prevent the overflowing of hospitals, or improve virtual learning, or facilitate contact tracing. And on the topic of climate change, you can focus your efforts around water sustainability, energy sustainability, or disaster resiliency. Solutions can help deploy smarter ways to utilize water in farming, how to keep communities abreast of their energy consumption and its environmental impact, or how to enable first responders to better assess their strategy during and after natural disasters. Keep in mind, though, these are just a few examples. There are many different areas that we can address regarding these two issues. And remember to use IBM technologies and services such as AI, blockchain, IoT, big data, and hybrid cloud in your solutions. Every team in the competition has IBMers in their network that are fluent in these technologies. Make sure you work closely with them and that you put their expertise to good use. Trust me, once you start working through your solutions, you'll quickly realize these technologies will facilitate how your project goes from being a concept to a reality. Now, before we go any further, Joel Mangan, Executive Director of P-Tech, would like to share a few words with us. Joel?
Hello, P-Tech community. Congratulations on stepping up to contribute your ideas to 2 of the most pressing problems that are affecting the world right now. That's climate change and COVID-19. The past couple of months have been really challenging for everyone, everywhere. I'm sure each of us has a story to tell about how COVID has impacted our lives or some of the lives of somebody that we know. The impact of climate change has built up a lot more slowly over the decades, but there's no denying the severe impact that it's having on communities around the world, especially in areas such as access to water and the frequent disasters that we're experiencing. This is a really big call for young, talented problem solvers like yourself to contribute innovative solutions to these challenges. You've answered the call, and that's awesome. My name is Joel Mangan. I'm the Executive Director of P-Tech at IBM. And on behalf of IBM, I want to thank you. I want to thank your P-Tech teachers and your IBM mentors for taking up the challenge. I'm really excited to see what you develop. Best of luck in the competition.
Many thanks for that, Joel. Up next, we'll be joined by 2 subject matter experts who have vast experience in both of our competition's topics. They're going to help us get a better understanding of the challenges being faced as well as progress being made on both fronts. Our hope is that their insights will help you all ideate adequate and sustainable solutions. To give us more knowledge of climate change, we have Matt Larson-Daw, Education Manager at the World Wildlife Fund in the United Kingdom. And to share her expertise on COVID-19, we have Dr. Payal Patel, Assistant Professor at the University of Michigan Health System, Division of Infectious Diseases. Let's hear what they have to say. All right, so Dr. Patel, Matt, thanks again for giving us your time. I'd like to start off by learning a little bit more about you guys. So if both of y'all would be so kind as to tell us your current role as well as your expertise on climate change or COVID-19 respectively. And Dr. Patel, we'll start with you.
Yeah, hi, my name is Payal Patel. I'm an infectious diseases doctor. And so my job is to take care of patients with infectious diseases in the hospital or outside of the hospital. My specific research interests are infection prevention and antimicrobial resistance. So a lot of research that I've done in COVID-19 is trying to figure out how do we stop the spread of the infection inside of the hospital and outside of the hospital.
Gotcha. Thanks for that. Matt, how about you?
Hi there. Yes, I'm Matt Larson-Daw. So I'm the Education Manager at WWF UK. So WWF is a worldwide organisation focused on a future in which nature and people can thrive together. And my role really is to help people to understand what climate change is, to understand the science behind it, but most importantly, to understand the so what. What does that mean to them? What can they do now? And what could they do in the future to help us solve the biggest challenge of our time? And although I don't come from a science background, as an educator based in WWF, I have access to scientists who are at the very cutting edge of studying climate change causes and solutions.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you both for that. Matt, for this next question, I actually want to start with you. And as you know, COVID-19 has basically dominated the headlines. It's been prevalent in basically every facet of our lives this year. But however, the truth of the matter is that climate change has actually not ceased to exist, nor has its impact lessened in any way at all. So can you give us an example of how climate change is present in our daily lives, even though we might not be fully aware of it?
Certainly, and that's the key, really. The fact that we're not necessarily aware of it means that it often gets pushed down the agenda, the news agenda. So we're all aware of the immediate risks of COVID-19, and there are things that we need to do to protect ourselves and our families. So obviously that's something we're talking about, something we're looking for information about. Climate change feels like something that's kind of happening in the background, but as you say, it hasn't gone away, and you can see the effects in many parts of the world. No part of the world is completely untouched, but they might be quite subtle. It might be that the seasons are coming a little bit later, that some new wildlife is coming into your local environment that you've never seen before, or that trees might be encountering a pest or a disease that previously wasn't a problem. And these things seem quite small in isolation, but they're a sign that the conditions for life are changing. And of course, the really big things that are happening out of view for most of us. The melting of the sea ice in the Arctic, we're missing huge amounts of ice that would normally have formed by now this year. And the knock-on effects of those kinds of changes are going to be absolutely huge in the years to come. But of course, by the time we start experiencing the big problems, it will be too late to prevent them being problems, because they'll already be very much part of our lives.
Interesting and scary. Dr. Patel, along the same lines of impacts on our daily lives, do you think there are facets of our daily lives that are going to change forever as a result of COVID-19?
Yeah, I think that things that we're already seeing, like more people working from home, maybe more remote learning, some of these things may not ever go back all the way to normal. But my hope is that as the pandemic ends, we will start seeing many things go back to normal, like more travel and things like that.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, yeah, it's no surprise, adjustments have certainly been made and they're going to continue to be made as we move along. Dr. Patel, continuing with you, what would you suggest that we can change in our daily lives to make our own contribution to slowing down the spread of the virus?
Yeah, I think that right now there's just in America there's an uptrend in infections in almost every state. So there's several things that we can do with spreading viruses that we don't know, and that is getting together, not washing hands, being close to someone. We know now, this happens every year with the flu. If you cough, laugh, there are particles that can come out of your mouth and can infect someone else. This is even more important with COVID because many times you don't even know that you're sick. So, one thing I would say is trying to think about, do you really need to go out without a mask? Do you really need to be super close to someone to get together with them? If the weather is nice, thinking about doing things outside, like if you're going to have dinner and get it from a restaurant, maybe eating outside of your home rather than eating inside, that could help stop the spread from you to others and from others to you as well.
Gotcha, understandably. Okay. Matt, I'm sure we're all aware of the obvious changes that we can make in our own lives to help fight climate change, such as using public transportation, recycling, etc. But can you shed some light on other areas where we can make changes and perhaps some areas that aren't so obvious, but that we carry out on a regular basis and they actually have adverse effects on our climate?
One of the real interesting areas, one of the areas where we can all make changes and we can all have an impact, is in thinking about what we eat and where that food comes from. Food is one of the leading production of food is one of the leading causes of climate change, and also has a huge effect on biodiversity loss. So the loss of wildlife, the loss of wild places, and food, as I mentioned, is, as well as being a huge creator of climate change through carbon emissions in its own right, is one of the leading causes of deforestation. And forests are our best tool in the fight against climate change, and also to maintain that biodiversity that is so important. So having a planet-friendly diet is actually the biggest change that you can make as an individual if you want to sort of be future-friendly. So that's not just it's partly cutting down on meat and dairy. Those foods have a particularly high impact on the planet, but it's also thinking just about the credentials of the food that you buy. Does it have unsustainable palm oil in? If it does, then by buying it, you're actually supporting those that are profiting from cutting down virgin rainforest and so on. So it's this idea that we need to be conscious of the impact of what we eat, and that we can make steps to have a planet-friendly diet.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Just how our diets can have such an effect, right, on the globe. I want to change gears a little bit now, and I'd like to talk about technology and its impact on both areas. And Dr. Patel, let's start with you this time. Can you share an example of how technology has been leveraged to address any of the many issues that COVID has brought to society? Perhaps some really interesting examples.
Yeah, I think that people have been working so hard. Different researchers have been trying all sorts of things to try to make things better, make our world better. One example that I have is I'm sure many people who have watched this have had to get a test for COVID. And I think it can be kind of scary to get a swab up your nose. And so some infectious disease researchers have been working on a test where all you have to do is just like spit in a cup and it would be able to detect from your saliva whether you have COVID or not. That's really important because then it decreases fear of testing. It's really cheap, and you could do it at home without having to go to a doctor's office or a clinic. So that's one example of how technology can be used. I can think of a lot. Another one is an app on your phone. As you guys know, colleges have had to make decisions just like schools about whether they should come back or not. And so some colleges have used apps where everyone who's in that college has this app, and you anonymously would say, "Yeah, I got diagnosed with COVID." And using crowdsourcing and Bluetooth, you're actually able to tell the people who you've been in close contact with that, hey, you've had an exposure to COVID, you might want to isolate. That's pretty cool because it uses technology, but it's also doing some of the old school public health principles that we know work to stop the spread of a virus.
That's certainly pretty impressive. Matt, the same question for you, but with regard to climate change.
Yeah, certainly. I wish that technology was coming sooner because I've had one of those COVID tests up the nose and they're really unpleasant. I wish I'd been spitting in a cup. Yeah, there's two things. The first of all is, since I mentioned food and its impact on the planet, it's worth noting that technology is offering us some real steps forward in food production. There's already farms that are using a fraction of the land that would normally be required to produce food by using technology to have vertical farms, so racks of crops that are growing under ultraviolet light, one above the other, so that you can have a very small land footprint, but a lot of land area for crops to grow. And that kind of technology is really important because it also allows the amount of water used to be very, very carefully metered out. So it's just the exact amount that the crop needs, which cuts down on waste and means that you can produce a lot without wasting water. But also to pick up on the COVID references, of course, we're all doing a lot more online. There is massive potential that has so far not been tapped in doing more online working, online schooling, online socializing, and therefore not requiring so much travel, not requiring huge businesses running offices that have these massive carbon footprints, not flying internationally as much as we do.
It's very interesting, the intertwining of both topics, right, and how they kind of play hand in hand. Finally, I'd like to close with one very important question that'll hopefully leave us all with a sense of urgency as we go forth and devise our solutions. If we don't begin to address these two societal issues now, what are some of the long-term effects that we might witness both in our generation and in generations to come? And Matt, let's go ahead and go with you first on this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, to keep that link going, one of the things that we're likely to see if we don't address climate change and if we don't stop destroying the wild areas of our planet is that we will see a lot more of these kinds of pandemics. As the climate changes, obviously conditions change, and that means that diseases that would normally not thrive and the bearers of diseases like mosquitoes that would normally die out in the winter period stop dying out. And so there's the danger that tropical diseases will spread much more ferociously than they currently do. And all of these things obviously have a knock-on effect on our health and our economy. But there are also some really big geographical changes. I mentioned the melting of the ice in the Arctic. So there's a sense that maybe there's some opportunities that will open up there in terms of fishing lanes and fishing and shipping lanes and so on. But sea rise that will be caused by that will be catastrophic for some areas. There will be inevitably climate refugees, people who are forced to move from areas where they've lived for centuries because the conditions have changed, so they can no longer grow their food, access water, or because extreme weather extreme weather events have become so common that it's just dangerous to continue living there. So as we lose resources because of the changing conditions, we will also have people who are having to move into areas, and we'll have condensations of people trying to access those limited resources. So there's a real danger of not just hardship as a result, but also conflict as a result of limited resources. So I would ask particularly young people to look at the future as an opportunity and to think about how we can shape something beautiful with the knowledge that we have and with the technologies that we have, and that doesn't continue to destroy the planet in the way that our current way of life is.
Thanks for that, Matt. Dr. Patel, your answer to long-term effects that we might see here.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the infectious disease community, we know that this is not the last pandemic that we're ever going to see. And just like Matt said, with different things that are happening with the environment, we expect that we'll probably see another pandemic in our lifetime. And so any of the work that we do now to try to decrease the spread of a virus or a bacterial infection can be used again in the future. So I would say that this is stuff that I work on all the time. And I wish that it wasn't cool to be an infectious disease doctor right now, but my work is going to continue even after COVID-19 pandemic ends. So I welcome any students interested in trying to help me try to fight the spread of really infectious diseases. That can be really easy, low tech things like cool face shields that stop you from spreading a sneeze or a cough, but may feel a little better than a mask. All sorts of things are welcome and can be used in the future and maybe even yearly with things like the flu.
Thank you, Dr. Patel. All in all, just very impactful, very resounding words from the both of you. And hopefully they hit home for all of our viewers as they did with me. I want to thank you both for all the work that you're putting into your respective fields. That's just truly impressive. And, the hats goes off to you. And I want to thank you guys for giving your time and sharing your knowledge today. We really do appreciate it. And we're looking forward to showing you all our solutions in the future. So from everybody involved in the Call for Code P-Tech Challenge, thank you both very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A big thanks once again to Matt and Dr. Patel. Students, our hope is that their words have allowed you to begin thinking about what type of solution you might want to create. Next, we thought it'd be helpful if we brought in a previous winner of the Global Call for Code Challenge to share some insights. Think about it. What better way to prepare ourselves for the road ahead than by hearing from someone who has already traveled it and emerged victorious? Joining us today, we have Brian Knaus, founder of Project OWL, the 2018 Call for Code winners. Brian, go ahead.
Good morning, P-Tech. I'm Brian Knaus, a co-founder of Project OWL. When we got started, though, there were a few challenges in our original Call for Code idea that ultimately became Project OWL. Now we're 2 years in, still working on it today. It was hard. There were a lot of, first of all, about 100,000 competitors in the year we did it, I think. And, if you've ever been in a technology competition or a hackathon, you'll know very well, like I do, that almost nothing works. Everything's like, more or less like digitally duct taped together, and you're just hoping when you pitch it that it doesn't all completely fall apart on stage, right? So a lot of the challenge early on is just making sure whatever you build is in a state or a polished enough outcome that you can show it to other people and get them excited about the idea that you've come up with. Whatever you're super excited about building, and in our case it was building technology to help communities prepare for, recover from, and deal with natural disasters. We were very excited about the idea, but then also the opportunity for us to go and build this idea and show people what we had made, kind of targeting that original conceptual foundation that, hey, we thought this idea of some wireless devices that can help people connect, and what if we called them ducks or duck links, and we put them all together and they can connect in clusters that, of course, we call cluster duck network was our solution. And what if that shares data up to the cloud so it can be analyzed by first responders? We thought that'd be a really cool idea, but really, up until the final seconds of the competition, basically nothing worked. So it's not simple, and nothing's perfect, and there's actually tons of chaos and a huge mess all the way up until that final submission. But just know that, especially those of you who have been through it, that's kind of how it goes. So don't let that hold you back or prevent you from working on something you really believe in. So we were fortunate that IBM provided us a lot of technology too, especially on the cloud software side. So one of the coolest things that IBM provides on the IBM Cloud is the Watson APIs. So these are really easy. You can access them through a bunch of different means. I think early on I was doing it through JavaScript and API calls. But there's a whole gamut of Watson technologies. So some of the ones we used back in the day, I think when we submitted our technology in 2018, there was about 12 APIs for IBM Watson. There's probably more now. But these were things like speech to text, text to speech. You could have a voice say, talk to you in audio based on words. You could also do certain things like pattern matching or reading a sentence and tell you, hey, here are the concepts in here, or here's some names that we pulled out of it. Various different APIs, and you should check them all out because they all do kind of different things and some clever stuff. There's probably visual-based ones now, I believe, that can do some sort of visual recognition type of tasks. So there's a lot of really great tool sets on IBM Cloud and Watson that I believe are free to use, or if not, they're extremely cheap. And there's a lot of code patterns that you can also dig into that kind of show you, here's how you use this thing. And they make it really easy to get code, pull something down, run it, play with it, and build something on your own. And if I could leave you with any advice, it's that, like any game or sports, I talk about how I love that hackathons are competitive. But a lot of times you feel like you might be losing. You feel like, oh, everything's broken, it's not working, I'm nervous that people aren't going to like my idea. That's kind of just how it goes. It's a nerve-wracking event, especially the call for code. You have a little bit of time. I think the event is a couple months, but sometimes these hackathons are 3 days long, and basically nothing works. Everything's about to break, and you're pitching not just an idea, but like the first stage beyond that of a very rough, cobbled together technology solution. So you can't be afraid that, oh, just because my thing doesn't work or it's rough, I can't pitch it, or that nobody's going to like it. That's not the point. The point is you have this idea, you come with some creative, different, unique perspective on how to solve a big problem in the world, and you're able to build some technology no matter how rough it is, and you can pitch it to people. The purpose of all this is to just get that initial nugget of an idea out there. If you can show someone even just the roughest technology sketch of an idea, and they can say, oh, I can kind of see where you're going with that, that's all you need to do. And if you can inspire yourself, if you can inspire people you're working with, then you can inspire some judges, you can inspire a lot of other people in the world with great technology that you can build. All you got to do is just get started and get something out there.
Brian, many thanks for sharing your journey with us, along with some helpful advice. I love how you mentioned that even though things might not be looking too great at certain points, what matters is that you push ahead. Teams, I hope the excitement is beginning to build up on your end. So what's next? Well, first of all, you need to assemble your teams. Teams should be comprised of the following: at least one community member from your school, and a minimum of one IBMer. Because our competition is a global one, all schools will follow a similar but not identical calendar. One thing that will remain constant across all schools are the 3 main milestones that teams will participate in as we progress through the competition. These will be your first design thinking session, your second design thinking session, and participation in a virtual hackathon. You will use your design thinking sessions to agree on a topic to focus on, to think up of a solution, and to continue its development. Once you get to the hackathon, you'll be able to take your solution concept and build out your prototype. Dates for these milestones will be determined by your school calendar, and they'll be made known to you by your program manager. Keep in mind that you don't have to leave the hackathon with a completed product. However, in participating, you'll be able to contribute valuable insight to open source solutions. And as far as IBM technology is concerned, If you feel like you don't have sufficient knowledge of what is available and how it works, don't worry. Not only will the IBMers on your team be able to help you out with this, but your respective program manager will also provide you with materials that will help you understand these technologies and offerings at a deeper level so that you can embed them into your solutions. Once you build out your solutions, you will submit them to a panel of judges who will determine our local, regional, and global winners, which will be announced at our awards ceremony in July. This brings us to our last bit of information, and something I'm sure you've all been waiting to learn more about: the prizes. We will have 3 levels of winners and prizes, with no team being able to win in more than one of the levels. The first level will be our local winners. There will be 1 local winner at each participating school. The next level up will be our regional winners, which will be defined by continent. We will have 1 regional winner per continent, making it a total of 4 winners in this level. And finally, we will have 1 global grand prize winner. As you can see, there are multiple opportunities to win, and the prizes get more impressive with each level, with the grand prize winning team taking home some truly amazing prizes. Well, everyone, I hope you're as excited to get started as we are. Please know that your program managers will be your main points of contact throughout the competition. They will be able to answer any additional questions you might have, and they'll help you and your teammates navigate the competition. Please make sure to enjoy yourselves as you and your team journey down this path, and never lose sight of the fact that we will create major positive impacts to our society when this is all over. On behalf of the entire Call for Code P-Tech competition team, I want to wish you good luck, and I want to thank you for answering the call.
Hello P-Tech students from around the world, especially our Navarro ECHS P-Tech students in Austin, Texas, USA. Ms. Ortiz here, wishing you the best of luck as you all begin the 2021 Call for Code P-Tech Challenge. I am so proud of you all for participating in this, and I am excited to see the life-changing ideas and products you all will develop to help better our community here in Austin, Texas, and the world. Good luck, everyone.
Hola, mi nombre es Karen y soy mentora en P-Stage. Quisiera felicitarlos, ya que cada logro comienza con la decisión de intentarlo. Y ustedes ya dieron el primer paso, que es participar. Estoy segura que con esta experiencia van a aprender y enriquecerse muchísimo. Les deseo el mejor de los éxitos y mucha suerte.
Hi P-Tech students, I am so proud that you're using your talents, skills, and energies to help combat climate change, as well as the challenges presented by COVID-19. I wish you good luck and all the best wishes for success.
Hello， 大家好，我是 IBM 台湾软体工程师林胜忠。相信参加 P-Tech 的你已经学到相当多的知识以及技能。P-Tech Call for Code 活动即将到来，这是一个发挥所学及创意来改变世界，使世界变得更好的挑战。卷起袖子接受挑战，你的力量及知识比你想象中的强大。
Hi everyone, this is Gina King. I'm the Director of Business Development and the Senior Location Executive for our IBM offices here in Denver, Colorado. I just want to say congratulations to all of you for challenging yourselves with the Call for Code P-Tech Challenge. I'm wishing our US teams the best of luck. And as a graduate of St. Vrain Valley School Districts, I just want to do a special shout out to Falcon Tech. Go team!
Hola a todos, ¿cómo están? Mi nombre es Daniel Rincón, yo soy el instructor del grupo de Colombia y quiero desearles mucha suerte y muchos éxitos, que disfruten la experiencia. ¡Chao!